The fluorescent lights of the downtown office building cast long shadows across the empty lobby as Marcus Chen gathered his briefcase, ready to head home to his 7-year-old daughter. It was nearly 8 o'clock on a Friday evening, and most employees had left hours ago. But Marcus had stayed late, as he often did, trying to prove himself worthy of the promotion everyone whispered he deserved but no one seemed willing to give him. Being a single father meant every opportunity mattered, every impression counted, every moment away from Emma had to mean something. As he walked toward the exit, he noticed a figure standing by the tall glass windows overlooking the street below. It was Christine Walsh, the vice president of operations and his direct boss. Even in the dim evening light, Marcus could see the unusual slump in her shoulders, so different from the ramrod straight posture she maintained during business hours. Christine was known throughout the company as the Iron Lady, a woman who had climbed the corporate ladder through sheer determination and an almost frightening level of competence. She never showed weakness, never revealed anything personal, never let anyone see behind the armor she wore like a second skin. Marcus almost walked past. The unwritten rule was clear: you didn't intrude on Christine Walsh's space. You didn't ask personal questions. You didn't treat her like anything other than the formidable professional she presented to the world. But something made him pause. Perhaps it was the way she stood there, completely still, her reflection ghostly in the window. Perhaps it was the unexpected vulnerability in her stance that called to something in his own wounded heart. He followed her gaze and saw what had captured her attention. Across the street, in the warm glow of a small Italian restaurant, a young couple sat at a window table. They were laughing about something, their faces bright with joy. As Marcus watched, the man leaned across the table and kissed the woman gently, and she smiled against his lips, her hand coming up to touch his face with such tenderness that Marcus felt his own chest tighten with recognition and loss. He understood that look. He had shared it once with Sarah, before the cancer, before the hospital rooms, before he became both mother and father to a little girl who still sometimes cried for the mom she barely remembered. He knew the weight of absence, the way love could become a memory that haunted you in unexpected moments. "They look happy," Marcus said softly, not wanting to startle her but unable to simply walk away. Christine didn't turn, but he saw her shoulders stiffen slightly. For a long moment, she said nothing, and Marcus wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Then she spoke, her voice different from the crisp, authoritative tone he knew from meetings and presentations. It was quieter, almost fragile. "Yes, they do," she said. "I used to have that. A lifetime ago." Marcus moved closer, standing a respectful distance away but close enough to continue the conversation. "What happened?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I chose this instead," she gestured vaguely at the building around them. "I chose conference calls over dinner dates. Board meetings over anniversaries. Spreadsheets over conversations. I thought I was building something important, building a life." He waited as long as he could, but eventually, he found someone who actually had time for him. Someone who didn't treat love like an item on a to-do list that could always be postponed until after the next project deadline. The honesty in her words struck Marcus deeply. He had seen Christine as untouchable, almost inhuman in her dedication and success. He had never imagined that beneath the polished exterior was someone who had paid such a heavy price for her achievements, someone who carried regrets that probably kept her awake at night. "I'm sorry," Marcus said simply. "That must have been incredibly painful." "It was 10 years ago," Christine replied, still watching the couple across the street. The man was now holding the woman's hand across the table, their fingers intertwined. "You'd think I would be over it by now. But sometimes, on nights like this, when I'm leaving the office after everyone else has gone home, when I'm going back to an empty apartment with nothing waiting for me but reports to review and emails to answer, I see people like that and I remember what I gave up. What I threw away because I was too proud and too ambitious to understand what really mattered." Marcus saw a tear slip down her cheek, catching the light from the street below. Christine Walsh, the woman who had made grown men stammer in meetings, who had negotiated million-dollar deals without blinking, was crying. The sight of it broke something open in Marcus's heart. He thought about Emma, about the way she hugged him when he picked her up from after-school care, about the stories they read together at bedtime, about the crayon drawings that covered their refrigerator. He thought about how close he had come to losing himself in work after Sarah died, How easy it would have been to hide from grief in spreadsheets and presentations. But Emma had saved him from that fate. She had reminded him every single day what love looked like, what mattered, what was worth living for. Marcus took a breath and stepped closer to Christine. "You know," he said gently, "it's not too late." She turned to look at him then, her eyes red-rimmed, her carefully applied makeup streaked. "What do you mean? You deserve love too," Marcus whispered, the words coming from somewhere deep and true inside him. "You deserve someone to hold your hand across a table. You deserve laughter and tenderness and all those moments you've been telling yourself you don't have time for. You deserve to be more than your job title, more than your accomplishments, more than the armor you wear to survive in this place." Christine's face crumpled, and suddenly she was crying in earnest, years of loneliness and regret pouring out in silent tears. Without thinking, Marcus opened his arms, and to his surprise, she stepped into them, this powerful woman who terrified junior executives, sobbing against his shoulder like a lost child. "I don't even know how to start," she said between tears. "I don't know how to be that person anymore. I don't know if anyone would want me now, after everything I've become." Marcus held her carefully, respectfully, offering comfort in the way he had learned from comforting Emma through nightmares and sadness. "The person who will love you for exactly who you are, including all the strength and intelligence and determination that got you here. But you have to give them a chance to find you. You have to stop hiding behind 16-hour workdays and convince yourself that success is an acceptable substitute for connection." They stood there for a long time, two lonely people finding unexpected solace in honesty and shared understanding. When Christine finally pulled back, wiping her eyes with shaking hands, she looked different somehow. Softer. More human. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I don't think anyone has ever said anything like that to me before." Marcus smiled. "We all deserve to hear it sometimes. Even the invincible Christine Walsh." She laughed, a real laugh this time, watery but genuine. "I'm taking next Friday off," she said suddenly. "I can't remember the last time I took a personal day. I think I'll go to that art class I've been telling myself I don't have time for. Maybe join that book club my neighbor keeps inviting me to." "That sounds perfect," Marcus said warmly. As they walked together toward the parking garage, Christine turned to him. "Marcus, that promotion you've been working toward. It's yours. You've earned it 10 times over, and I've been stalling because I didn't want to lose my best analyst. But you deserve it, and more importantly, you deserve to go home to your daughter at a reasonable hour. Starting Monday, you report directly to the executive team." Marcus felt tears spring to his own eyes. "Thank you," he managed. Christine smiled, and for the first time since he had known her, it reached her eyes. "Thank you," she said. "For reminding me that there's more to life than the next quarterly report. For seeing me as a person, not just a boss." As Marcus drove home that night, he thought about the mysterious ways that kindness could change everything, how a moment of genuine human connection could crack open even the most offended heart. He thought about how we all deserve love, deserve softness, deserve someone who sees us and reminds us of our worth. When he tucked Emma into bed that night, she looked up at him with Sarah's eyes and said, "Daddy, why are you smiling?" "Because I met someone today who reminded me that we should never give up on love," he said, kissing her forehead. "And I wanted to remind you of the same thing. Sometimes, the most profound acts of humanity are simply seeing another person's pain and choosing to acknowledge it with compassion. Sometimes, all it takes is a whispered truth to change a life, to remind someone that they deserve the very thing they've been denying themselves. And sometimes, that simple act of kindness creates ripples that spread far beyond that single moment, changing not just one life, but two, and perhaps many more beyond."